same question we keep asking ourselves is, who murdered Mr. Nobody? And I know for a fact you'll all be saying, it wasn't me, I'm innocent. But there is one of you who's disguised as a normal, harmless person who wouldn't hurt a fly. But beneath that disguise is a dangerous and heartless murderer trying to blend in with the innocent. In this room, the murderer is trapped, and I will unmask him. But first I'll tell you what I know about Mr. Nobody. Number one, he wasn't a likeable man, as you all know, which gives you all a motive. Number two, Dr. Sinner has already clarified that he was poisoned by his drink. And number three, you all had an opportunity to slip the poison into his drink. Mr. Doyle, you own £1 million business. Tell me if I'm right or wrong, but you wanted to buy Mr. Nobody's business premises, and you were willing to pay anything for it. Am I right?
You're right, Mr. Sky Eagle, but I don't see how this has got to do anything with the murder.
I disagree. I think it has everything to do with the murder, because Mr. Nobody didn't want to sell his business premises to you. How did you feel when he said no to you? Angry? You must have done. Not having the plans to build your shopping centre? You murdered Mr. Nobody for greed and money, because once he was dead, then you could have the shopping centre, the one you always wanted.
That's ridiculous. I'd never go to murder him for his money or anything. I wouldn't go as far as to kill someone. I'm a respectable businessman.
Yes, and selfish and greedy. Someone who'd do anything for money. Like burn down properties to build your empire. The police have suspected you for some time, but could never pin it on you. Miss Paddington, you were in love with Mr. Nobody once.
I'm still am. I wanted to marry him. There's no reason why I should.
Murder him? But there is a reason. You said you wanted to marry him, and you were going to, until he called the whole thing off. And then you found out he was having an affair with a younger woman. Isn't that right, Miss Slayer?
How did you know?
I saw you and Mr. Nobody staring at each other a few times. It wasn't hard to guess. You murdered Mr. Nobody for jealousy and anger. Finding out he was having an affair with a younger woman, it broke your heart and you just couldn't take it. It's the same old story, a crime of passion.
Can't you see she's in enough grief? Can't you leave her alone?
Dr. Sinner, you were Mr. Nobody's personal doctor for a couple of years. So why did he replace you a couple of weeks ago?
Because at the time, something happened to me personally. I had to leave for a while. I'd rather not talk about it.
I understand that you've been taking large amounts of money from your bank account each week. I think I know why you left him. It's not for a personal matter. You left him because he was blackmailing you.
Those bank accounts are confidential. How on earth did you access them?
You could say you got the information from a friend, so you don't deny it. So what was it then? What was it you didn't want anyone else?
I'm a morphine addict! Sometimes it helps me forget the past, even war. He found me in my house with my sleeve up next to a needle, but I didn't kill him.
You murdered him to shut him up, so that you could stop paying him, and so that you wouldn't go to the police.
I couldn't do it!
Miss Thrill, your late husband used to work with Mr. Nobody, until he fired him. Then a year ago, your husband died from a heart attack. The doctor's report said that he was under a lot of stress from work with Mr. Nobody. But he was under more stress trying to find a new job. You murdered him for revenge, as you blame him for the cause of your husband's heart attack.
Believe me, I wanted him dead. So badly. I admit it. I'm glad that he's dead. And I seem to be the only person in this room who's pleased. But somebody got to him before I did. I just might shake his or hers hand.
Mr. Black, you own a tool-making company, which was losing a lot of money because you weren't paying debt. But there was one debt that you couldn't pay, which was Mr. Nobody's. In order to pay this debt, you would have had to lost your company. But you lost all your money to gambling.
What? I can't help it. When I'm playing cards and I see that I've got a winning hand, I feel lucky. So I think I can win the next one, and the next one, and the next one, until you lose. And then you think you can win it all back, until you've lost it all. If my wife finds out, she will divorce me, and she'll take my children from me, and I cannot let that happen.
You murdered Mr. Nobody, so you wouldn't lose your company, or your wife, or your children.
I may be a lot of things. A gambler, of course. A loser, certainly. But I'm not a murderer. I haven't even got the guts to kill myself, let alone someone else.
Miss Slayer, as we all know, you had an affair with Mr. Nobody. And I know for a fact that he's just signed a will, leaving everything he owns and all of his money over to you. He must have really loved you.
Oh gosh, he did. He would do anything for me. He always came with presents and flowers to all the clubs that I would sing at. I guess you could just call him one of my admirers.
You don't love him, do you? The only thing you truly loved was his money.
Not at all. I loved his kindness and his support, but I love all my admirers. They are so very sweet and generous to me, especially Mr. Nobody. I will never forget him.
But you murdered Mr. Nobody, as you used him to sign his will over to you. And you couldn't wait to be rich. The only way that was quicker was to murder him.
Come on, detective. That's stupid. He was old. He only had a couple of years left anyway. Why would I murder him and risk to be hanged? No way. I'd rather wait till he died of natural cause.
She's dead. She's been murdered by poison.
Dr. Sin and Mr. Black, please sit down. You're still suspects.
Didn't you hear me? She's dead.
I know she is. Now let's get this over and done with before there's any more murders. I can tell you now I know who the murderer is, so please sit down. Who wanted Mr. Nobody and Miss Slayer dead? I can tell you now the murderer is Miss Paddington. Like I said before, the same old story, a crime of passion.
Well done, detective. You got me.
Miss Paddington, I'm going to have to take you in. It's too late. You can't escape. The police are on their way.
You're lying.
Do you really think I'm lying now?
Open the door. I said, open the door.
How much is it, mate?
$16.99.
Right, okay. Well. There's 20. You keep the change. And don't say anything about this.
Thank you. See you later.
Right. Your turn to be detective then.
Get the pepperoni. Yes?
I'll tell you what, I like the gambler.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
The pen. You were to die for. Yeah, literally. Click. Yes.